The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
People think that they're on the outs because they're not always in the same room together, Maureen. That's what she would like people to believe. Like she had what, 1 or 2 public appearances without him, and that's what led to the divorce speculation. That's not quite it, my dear. It's what are the things? Oh, your words. It's your words that led us to believe you can't stand him.
Picture this. Barack Obama thought nobody could touch him. The cool kid of politics, sipping his latte and dropping slick one-liners like a pro. But out of nowhere, Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard show up like 2 Avengers who clearly didn't get the memo about respecting legends. And what happens next? Man, it's not just a takedown, it's a straight-up demolition. So brutal, even Obama's teleprompter would have called in sick. This showdown makes political roast battles look like bedtime stories for kids.
The truth is, if you add it all up, even the year, if the odds were you're going to be married to your partner for 50 years and 10 of those years could be bad, you'd
sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
Right. And that's really how it works out.
Is it, Michelle? It's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people.
Barack Obama has always drifted through the political world with this untouchable glow, almost like a Marvel superhero. He strolled into Washington carrying the aura of a smooth-talking prophet, the kind of guy who could turn hope and change into something that sounded like the hottest mixtape about to drop. The media loved him so much that if he sneezed, news anchors would probably spin it as a poetic act of leadership. Obama wasn't just a president, he was a full-on lifestyle brand. You didn't just vote for him, you subscribed to him.
Behold, what happened next was we're going to do a new assessment and we're going to see what Russian interference was. Immediately, the media started reporting, it was huge. They interfered in everything. They tried to help Trump. So the answer to the homework was delivered to the media before the homework had been done. And then when the homework was officially delivered in January of 17 to Obama, shock of all shocks, it said what Obama wanted it to say, which was Russia, Russia, Russia. They wanted to help Trump. And off we were on the collusion allegations that would dominate the Trump first term. So now you have spoken to a whistleblower still inside the CIA who worked on that 17 ICA. And this person is telling us what?
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon. But here's the thing. Every shiny statue eventually meets a hammer. And in Obama's case, 2 hammers showed up, Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard. If his carefully polished image was the Mona Lisa of politics, Kelly and Gabbard came storming into the Louvre with spray paint, ladders, and zero patience for polite applause. Suddenly, the golden boy of politics didn't look so golden anymore. He looked more like a man who'd been cashing in on some very expensive PR tricks.
Implications of this are far-reaching and have to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. It has to do with an outgoing president taking action to manufacture intelligence, to undermine and usurp the will of the American people in that election, and launch what would be a years-long coup against the incoming President of the United States.
Megyn Kelly was the first to pull out the blade. And let's be real, she's never been famous for playing nice, unless your idea of nice is smiling while tearing apart someone's credibility live on air. She's basically the human version of a scalpel, sharp, precise, and guaranteed to make even the most confident politician start sweating through their custom suits. Kelly built her entire career on staring power in the face without flinching. And if that meant dragging Obama's carefully polished halo straight through the mud, she was more than ready to do it.
Just listen to the pod. They got to watch it because, first of all, we're taking this thing apart tomorrow on the Mini Nerve.
Oh, good.
He's got more chemistry with and affection for Brother Craig. than his own wife, if you look at the way they greet each other. And then my favorite thing is the staging now, because we all know that politics is about optics and stagecraft. Michelle's at this end of the table. Obama's all the way over here at this end. And brother Craig is between them like a mediator, like a marriage counselor.
So
if they're
true.
really still in love and together and not getting a divorce, why?
What makes Megyn Kelly especially dangerous is that she has receipts. She's watched the media bend over backwards to shield Obama, and she's never been shy about pointing out how absurd that looked. While other journalists were busy writing love letters disguised as op-eds, Megyn stood there like the strict teacher calling out lazy homework. Picture a class where everyone's praising the king, then Megyn walks in with a 5-page report exposing his tax fraud. That's her energy. Then comes Tulsi Gabbard. If Megyn is the scalpel, Tulsi is the hammer. She's the kind of politician who doesn't care whose feelings get hurt as long as the truth gets out. Tulsi doesn't just toss shade, she flips the whole table. She's lived through the consequences of bad policies, so when she calls out foreign policy disasters or wars dressed up as humanitarian missions, she's not guessing. She points to the scars and says, "Yeah, I was there. I saw what your hope and change really looked like on the ground."
More fuel on the fire that there's a potential, maybe a divorce or some sort of rockiness going on in the Obamas' relationship. They both posted these mirrored, very choreographed Valentine's Day messages on X, but he was just seen at an LA, the basketball team, the Clippers, thank you, game without her. And then on Tuesday, he was spotted eating out at a fancy dinner in Sherman Oaks with both daughters, Malia and Sasha, but again, no Michelle, according to TMZ.
And that's where the cracks in Obama's image start to show. For years, he was treated like the man who ended wars, healed racial divides, and floated above Washington corruption. But scratch beneath the glossy speeches and celebrity glow, and his record looks like every other president who promised the moon but delivered parking tickets. On foreign policy, he campaigned like he'd shut down the war machine, but instead just recharged it. Drone strikes soared, civilians paid the price, and interventions were dressed up with pretty words about democracy. It was like winning an Oscar for a movie not yet filmed, only to spend 8 years burning down parts of the set. At home, he was hailed as the one who would heal America's racial wounds, proof the country had moved past centuries of division.
Distraction. What is your response to the former president?
They're doing the exact same thing that people like Senator Warner are doing. He was the head of the Intelligence Committee at the time. They would have to admit and actually address the details of their complicity in this, or their absolute failure in conducting the most basic responsibilities of, again, asking, where is this intelligence coming from? What are the sources? What proof do you have of these of this high confidence assessment? Remember, John Brennan and James Clapper at the time assessed, and James Comey, with high confidence that Russia aspired to help Donald Trump win the election in 2016.
But reality didn't play along. Behind the speeches about unity, tensions boiled. Police shootings, riots, and cultural clashes only grew worse. It was like painting over a crumbling wall, then acting surprised when it collapsed. That's where Megyn Kelly comes in. She doesn't just point out the collapse, she shows how the media cheered the paint job while ignoring the cracks. Obama got softball questions, glossy magazine covers, and a press corps that looked more like his fan club. Kelly slices through that double standard with precision, reminding us that if any other president had expanded surveillance or ordered drone strikes wiping out villages, the media would have called it a crisis. With Obama, it was treated like just another Tuesday. Tulsi takes it further. To her, Obama wasn't the peace president, he was the guy who swapped one war for another while selling the illusion of harmony. She paints him as someone who promised change, but quietly propped up the same broken systems.
Obama's still at it. And in this particular soundbite, she's got thoughts on relationships. Listen here.
Relationships are long and there are also ebbs and flows, right? So I think sometimes people who date don't realize that, in long-term relationships, you're gonna have deep dips and you're gonna have
a bad year.
You're gonna have a bad. I tell people, and folks think that this is harsh. It's like you're gonna have a bad decade.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been married to my husband for 30 plus years. I mean, the truth is, if you add it all up, even the year if the odds were you're gonna be married to your partner for 50 years and 10 of those years could be bad,
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up.
Right. And that's really how it works out.
And that's the beauty of this unlikely duo. Megyn Kelly shatters the media bubble that protected Obama, while Tulsi Gabbard rips apart the policies hiding behind the speeches. Together, they're a demolition crew. One strips the wallpaper, the other smashes the foundation. Obama's speeches may be legendary, he could read a grocery list and make it sound holy, but Kelly and Tulsi remind us that speeches don't stop bombs or save lives. By the time they're done, Obama's aura of untouchability is gone. His legacy looks less like a marble statue and more like a cardboard cutout left in the rain. And his die-hard fans? Predictably chaotic. Social media erupts, treating criticism of Obama like someone kicked their favorite puppy. Hashtags and emotional essays flood in, but all it proves is that his image has become a sacred cow no one's allowed to question.
There was no credible intelligence that actually reported that. So President Obama's very carefully worded response that came from his office, again, deflects away from addressing any of the truth that was revealed. Right. Senator Warner refuses to speak the truth about how one of our whistleblowers came forward and approached his office numerous times about what had actually occurred, how he wouldn't go along with this fake intelligence manufactured report, was sidelined because of it. And guess what? Senator Warner's office wouldn't even give the whistleblower an email address to send his evidence of this, the treasonous conspiracy that we have now released to the American people.
The truth always finds a way to break through, and that's what makes this hit so hard. Obama's presidency may still be admired by millions, but once the cracks are exposed, they can't be unseen. Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard didn't just take shots at a man, they dismantled a myth. And once a myth is broken, no amount of speeches or nostalgia can fix it. Kelly strikes first, aiming straight at the glowing force field that shielded Obama for years, the media. She doesn't just question the double standards, she smashes them wide open. Think about it. Obama could roll out a recycled policy from his predecessor, and reporters would spin it as visionary. Another president expands surveillance, it's Big Brother. Obama does it, and suddenly it's responsible oversight. The media's obsession wasn't journalism, it was fan fiction with perfect lighting. Kelly slices through that illusion, reminding everyone that the press, whose job was to hold power accountable, spent 8 years acting like his personal hype squad.
Speaking of Barack Obama, he decided to drop a post on X today, and I thought, okay, maybe in the wake of the Pete Hegseth presser, he's going to say something like, no matter how you feel about the Iranian strike, hats off to our, boys in blue, our guys in the bombers. He went a different way. This is what it was.
Curious how you're thinking about this eulogy specifically in the moment and all the tensions that you just brought out.
I didn't even want to talk. I was so mad. Part of the reason I think I ended up having anything to say at that moment was when I heard some of the victims' families forgive the shooter. And I thought, all right, let's...
When scandals popped up, they weren't scandals, they were teachable moments. When blunders happened, they weren't failures, they were complicated decisions. It was like having friends who excuse everything you do. Forget their birthday? You were too busy being inspirational. Burn dinner? You redefined cooking. Megyn Kelly's point is clear. The press gave Obama a free pass the size of an Amtrak ticket,
depending on
and
how
he wrote
often
it
you
past
check your
criticism
deductible.
that would
Greg
have sunk
lights that
anyone
mess
else.
up like it's a Christmas
Then,
tree in
Tulsi Gabbard steps in. Where Kelly is the scalpel, Tulsi is blunt force. She doesn't care how the media spun Obama, she cares about the damage his decisions caused. And her words hit harder because they're not from a pundit, but from a soldier who saw the receipts in blood and bone. She blasts the regime change fiascos that left nations in ruins. Libya, for example, went from democracy intervention to a terrorist playground. That wasn't hope and change, it was chaos wrapped in a polished speech. And Tulsi doesn't sugarcoat it. She calls it reckless, destructive. And coming from her, the truth stings in a way pundits never could.
That claims that Russia had helped Donald Trump get elected contradicted every other assessment that had been made previously in the months leading up to the election that said exactly the opposite, that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to quote unquote hack the United States election for the presidency of the United States. So the effect of what President Obama and his senior national security team did was subvert the will of the American people, undermining our democratic republic and enacting what would be essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, who was duly elected by the American people.
And here's the real beauty of this two-pronged attack. Kelly and Gabbard don't overlap, they complement each other. Kelly exposes the media machine that kept Obama's image spotless, while Tulsi rips apart the reality hidden behind the speeches. One shows you the tailor is lying, the other shows the emperor tripping over his own robes. It's a demolition from two angles, and together it's devastating. The contrast is almost comical when laid side by side. On one hand, Obama's speeches made you feel like the future was a sunrise just around the corner. His words were pure poetry, and he knew it. But poetry doesn't bring back the lives lost to reckless policies. Inspiring people is one thing, delivering on that inspiration is another.
All these different strands, a case upholding healthcare, a case declaring same-sex marriage part of our constitutional protections, of mourning. I think what pulls it all together is that no one person did any of that.
So he's sitting around on a June Thursday thinking about himself and his glory days. And to your point, Smug, I'm starting to warm up to Michelle Obama's POV. I mean, like, what does he do?
Kelly drives home the irony by showing how the media swooned over speeches while reality got buried. The surveillance state grew, whistleblowers were hunted, and Obama's transparent government turned out to be about as clear as a brick wall. Reporters who grilled other leaders for tiny mistakes looked the other way when Obama crossed lines no champion of freedom was supposed to touch. Together, Kelly and Tulsi strip off the glossy veneer and reveal a picture far less flattering. Through their eyes, Obama's presidency isn't the flawless masterpiece it's remembered as. It's a mix of real achievements, overlooked failures, and contradictions so glaring they'd be funny if they weren't so tragic.
Gabbard caught President Obama absolutely cold. What they did to this country, starting in 2016, going up to 2020 in the election, they tried to rig the election and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group.
And that's the comedy of it. So many people still cling to the myth, even when the evidence is right there. Kelly and Tulsi force you to see the emperor in all his awkwardness. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Obama's brand looks less like a timeless legacy and more like a polished marketing campaign that crumbles under scrutiny. By the end of their takedown, the gap between his silky words and the harsh reality is undeniable. The speeches might still give you chills, but the record makes you shiver for an entirely different reason. It's like realizing your favorite magician wasn't sawing a woman in half, he was sawing the truth in half and hoping nobody noticed.